October 5, 2017, 5:47 p.m. PT by Lauren Huff. Ryan Gosling and Harrison Ford have been on a media blitz to promote their upcoming sci-fi blockbuster Blade Runner 2049, and it has made for some pretty memorable moments. Ford reprises his Blade Runner role of Rick Deckard, and Gosling joins his fellow Blade Runner, K, in the long-awaited sequel, which hits theaters Friday. Similar to Ryan Reynolds and Jake Gyllenhaal's highly publicized bromance during the press tour for their sci-fi horror film Life this spring, Gosling and Ford have made waves online for their seamless banter and jests at each other's expense. Below are a few of the best viral moments from the Blade Runner 2049 press tour. Gosling and Ford can't keep it together during alcohol-fueled interview. The duo could not hold it together during an interview with Allison Hammond of ITV's This Morning. The laughs start right off the bat, when Hammond admits she's never seen Blade Runner. "I appreciate your candor," Gosling replies, laughing. Hammond gets the first laugh out of the famously gruff Ford by quipping, "Bleak, dystopian, an absolute nightmare, to be honest with you, and that's just my interviewing technique." He goes on to tell her to cheer up, to more laughs from the host and Gosling. Things take a turn after that, prompting Gosling to pour himself a drink. "I feel like this is where that's headed," he jokes. After asking what Ford's reaction was to being asked to do another Blade Runner film, and his response of "so what and show me the money," Hammond pours herself a drink as well. The laughs continue, at Gosling's expense, as Hammond brings up his knitting habit and asks him if he knitted the sweater he's wearing. Later in the interview, after Gosling pretends to walk out, Hammond asks Ford if he would be interested in starring in a sequel to one of Gosling's films, such as La La Land. Ford says he can't sing, but Gosling is not having it. "That's not true. He has the voice of an angel. It's like an angel pouring honey in your ear," he jokes. Ford explaining why he wanted Han Solo to die in an interview with USA Today. The conversation shifted to one of Ford's other well-known roles, Star Wars' Han Solo. The character was killed off in 2015's Star Wars The Force Awakens, and when asked about it, Ford said, "I wanted him to die for a long time. So, I finally talked them into it." Gosling could not contain his laughter, which prompted Ford to explain himself a little bit. The death was not to just dispose of him, but to ennoble his participation, and give the whole tune some bottom. A bass note. Taking the latter comment as a reference to his musical film La La Land, Gosling said, "I caught where you drifted, a song metaphor." "Did I drift?" Ford deadpanned. "I drove there, man. I didn't drift anywhere." Ford forgetting Gosling's name. The two made a stop on the Graham Norton show, but Ford couldn't seem to remember his co-star's name. "I read about the character that he begins, recalling his initial impressions of the script before hesitating. "It's Ryan," Gosling responds, which the audience laughs at before Ford continues with his story. The veteran actor stumbles again, saying, "What a great part. Why don't we see if we can get," before once again turning to Gosling for help. "Ryan," he reminds Ford, as the actor tries to hold back his laughter. Ford attempts his co-star's full name later in the interview. But, confused, Gosling asks, "Did you say Rosling?" Ford goes on to continue practicing saying Gosling's full name. Ford detailing punching Gosling in the face in another boozy interview, this time on The Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon. The Hollywood legend talks nonchalantly about an on-set incident in which he accidentally punched his co-star in the face. "I threw 80 punches, 79 of them missed him," he explains. "What do you do after you hit your co-star in the face?" Fallon asks, prompting Ford to act out a scene in which he goes to Gosling with some whiskey to apologize. Taking one more shot at Gosling, Ford jokingly complains that afterwards he starts bitching about it, and you hear about it all over town. Ford pokes fun at Gosling for being Canadian in an interview with Ode Entertainment's Melissa Nathu. Gosling gets flack for being Canadian. "You're advocating for the Canada wall, aren't you?" Gosling asks, to which Ford says he wants a wall to keep the Mexicans in and the likes of Gosling out. Later in the interview, Gosling's nationality is once again the topic of discussion. When in the middle of complimenting his co-star, Ford jokes, "I am a little bit upset about the invasion from the north." When Nathu points out that Ford also said some really nice stuff about Gosling, despite the Canadian diss, Ford jokes, "Canadians never get enough, believe me." Blade Runner 2049